This is the Revolution Insight series, episode 2, revolving around Vietnam. And it was going to be the Vietnam, just really the Vietnam struggle, I suppose, in general. And, I was looking for a specific period because I knew it didn't all start with the Vietnam War, and the documentary that I'm listing in the description below, it's more than that. It's so much more than that. I do have some, I have some actual insight into the Vietnam War from I believe 2 separate books. One by, I believe it was Andrew Herbert and Seymour Hersh. But the insight here was, one, the West or the U.S. propped up a leader at some point, and it was a dictator. And this is a too common theme with U.S. and how they deal with countries abroad when they need to really stop them from doing things that they don't want them to do, as they, and maintain the image that they are a sovereign nation. We are actually quite aggressive abroad, and we facilitate people, the dictators. Like if Putin wasn't as harsh a dictator, there may be a more likely chance that the West would have found a way to essentially do regime change and get the resources and the people of Russia, in any case, to do their bidding. Very interesting there. But also, the idea of communism was a real threat. It was the buzzword when, because the government loves to stoke fear in terms of with the West, and that's really how they get most things done. They need to convince people to be afraid of something, and communism was the threat. And this was something that really led to what took place in Vietnam, because when they decided to, or when they were found to really be unmoving and unwavering in their communism in terms of politically, that's when we went to work in a lot of different ways. And we even supported France and them trying to take over Vietnam as well. And also with this series, what it really did for me in terms of the insight that it really gave me was really confirming the importance of religion to revolutions. And they did that in 2 ways. And one way was they propagandized the Allen Dulles brother. I forget his name, but he was leader of the State Department. Allen Dulles was with the CIA. He is the CIA. He is the person who really expanded the CIA and formed the CIA. Or I'm not sure if he actually formed it, but he expanded it for sure. And he's the most infamous figure in the CIA, I would say. But also the idea of what they did, what his brother did. He propagandized the people to believe that they were killing Catholics in Vietnam. That was an important way, right? Because they need public opinion. They need that in a lot of cases. That's actually a very tremendous point, right? They need to propagandize their own populace to really do whatever or to carry out the means for whoever they may be their ultimate constituents, which is a lot of times just corporations. But that was very important that they did that. They needed to scare people about Vietnam. They needed to villainize Vietnam, and that was an important thing for them. And another thing was Buddhist burnt themselves alive in protest. And I think a lot of us still remember that. I still have an understanding that that happened at some point, and it's a very powerful image. And that was protesting the war and the violence that was ongoing, and it's probably the single most powerful anti-war, or between it's competing, right? The most powerful anti-war protest that's taken place, because you see that one, and you also see the guy with the guy standing in front of a tank with a grocery bag in his hand, and that's probably the other one, and it is something, and it is admirable, but definitely something. And another thing was U.S. they lied about being attacked by Vietnam, and that was a huge thing that led to the war and the actual troops on the ground. And of course, the Vietnam War was a mess. It was shambles. The books that I've read on the Vietnam War just essentially just exposed just how clownish we looked over there. We didn't really have a tremendous amount of impact in any case, right? Because when it came down to what we did in Vietnam, a lot of us were, or a lot of soldiers, they were in the actual country, but they were essentially just trying to keep a job. That's all they were doing, and it was really. I kind of take that as like when we think about PTSD and kind of the veterans struggling in a lot of cases. I think a lot of them may grapple with the fact that they have to come to terms with the idea of them being the villains in that war, right? And them actually just inflicting harm upon people who were really no threat at all to us. And that was very interesting, but also the idea of fighting when there was conflict. They used guerrilla warfare, and just completely made like our idea of warfare right now. Like our idea of warfare, there was no real impact in terms of the amount of soldiers and the amount of presence that we had in Vietnam versus the amount of impact that our soldiers had. And that was due to the idea of tactics, right? Because when you understand that you're facing what could be really viewed as superior weaponry, or just an overwhelming amount of people, when you're at home, you can deaden that impact, completely deaden it. Very interesting to see that. Also, public opinion. They at some point they started bombing, cities, because this is the frustration building up to what we'll talk about in a second. But they were bombing cities and groups of people, and it was we weren't effective. We were just frustrated. I'm just picturing like a baby just yelling and screaming because it's not getting the applesauce it wants or something. It's really pathetic. Honestly, it was really pathetic and really sad to see that. But really sad to see where we took it from there, because public opinion changed and it shifted then. But at some point we did we had something called Agent Orange, and we put that in the forest. And this is, if you want to understand how evil a lot of these people are in terms of the bureaucrats, right? Because this wasn't these weren't the people who thought of this plan. can almost like I am so close to just completely 100% guaranteeing this, but I highly doubt that they've ever like been in a actual war, an actual physical conflict with these people. They've never like had comrades that they had to look out for, or soldiers on their particular squad that they had to look through, that they had to look out for, or people that they actually had to physically go and kill. Right? They use other people to do that because they're just like weak bags of shit. But what they did was just like, it was, the Agent Orange, it was described, I've heard one description of it. It was like it caused when it was sprayed onto a plant, I believe it was in like less than like 5 minutes that the plant just withered and died or something. And I believe these are chemical derivatives that are basically either directly came from Monsanto, or they were some kind of like related to them in some sense. But it was absolutely disgusting to know that we did that. But a lot of people, they still face birth defects, and they're still looking at birth defects from this particular time period where we sprayed these chemicals, because they destroy people. They really do. And it's one of the things that really makes me angry with the government, but also realize just how like our superiority is just in the idea of when we lose, we are suicidal in nature. Like that's kind of the idea there. Like there is no win in a situation where these people lose. Like these people who have power in this country, and power, these are the weakest among us, the most depraved. Right? These aren't people who have, like, nobody wants peace more than a soldier. And this is these people who are gearing for wars and things like that. This is it. This is what they look for, and this is what they're willing to do. And this idea of speaking of peace, this is the last note here. Poor people were the main one protesting this war. Right, they were the main ones out there protesting this war. Rich people they had access to systems to dodge the draft. Right, and of course they're going to smear protesters, just like they're. Some of it has merit today in terms of what they're protesting, why they're protesting, but and whether it's really impactful, whether they're just trying to grandstand. But a lot of this right now, a lot of what happened in Vietnam, I had respect for those people as a kid. Like I had real respect for those people, because it was just like, at least you guys are doing something. Like as a in high school, I remember like thinking like those people did something. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just like I kind of like looked at adults with a bit of like, it was, I just kind of looked at them as pathetic bags of meat in a lot of situations when it came down to war, because it's just like, this is what you're gonna keep passing on this, down the line until somebody's brave enough to do something about it, huh? Like it was like I definitely had to fight a bit of that pessimism there, and this is that was the last note, and this is a great segue, because this whole series is really me trying to give insight into really, I guess, the energy put into a certain really series. Particularly what I'm working on right now as of the end of October is a manga series, or a one-shot series, or a one-shot manga, or that is, there's going to be a world. I'm just not sure if it's going to be manga or how we're going to do it yet, but I am going to introduce the one-shot and see if it gains support, and I'd really like for you to Like the video, of course. Your views are always cool, but also when when the one shot does come out, I hope you guys like it. I'm either overconfident in my ability to write and present stories, or I really might have a good story on my hands with this one. And I'd really appreciate your support either way. And you can also, I'm going to leave a link to actually purchase a stopwatch that's also related to the story. I'm not sure how much to give away there, but you can also buy that. I'm going to leave a link in the description as well. And that concludes this episode of the Revolution Insight series. And I'll hope to see you next time. Thank you.